Guys, Andrew Henderson, Nomad Capitalist. I'm in Malaysia with the latest of so much second passport, second residency news for 2017. I want to talk about the Hungarian investor immigration program. It is going to be suspended on March 31st, 2017, so not far from now. And want to tell you my thoughts on this, how you can get in on it, and what this all means. So I actually have not followed this program. I did do a bit of research into this program myself, considered doing it for about 2 minutes about a year and a half ago when I was in Budapest. Budapest is a fantastic city and one that I think is great to visit or even to base yourself as a nomad, but I always had concerns about doing more than that. And if you look at the news, you see Hungary doesn't want refugees. They've always been a bit xenophobic. The people running the country, I never entirely, there's just some challenges there. And this is a country that went after banks who made loans to willing borrowers who borrowed money in foreign currencies. The government went after them. So what the opportunity is and always has been was to put 300,000 euros into Hungary's government bonds, zero coupon, you make no interest, and you put it in there for a bunch of years. And then after 8 years, you can apply for Hungarian citizenship. And all the meanwhile, you can live and work anywhere in the European Union. So a lot of Chinese folks use this as an entry point into traveling around Europe because they can't do that. And so it's primarily a program for folks who wanted the ability to be in Europe, didn't have the money to spend to get a passport in Europe right away, just wanted to be able to travel. And Hungary never liked this, in my opinion. I even 2 years ago said, well, what happens if they just keep your money? And one of the guys I was talking to said, there's a possibility they might. But we think if they were to do it, there's been kind of some indications that they might make it up to people by speeding up the process by a few years. So, hey, thanks for your 300 grand. We took it. But you don't have to wait 8 years anymore. You have to wait 5 years now. Thank you. Have a nice day. Well, that's not what's going to happen now. Hungary is deciding now that their economy is doing a bit better. They're going to close the door. They don't want any more Chinese people. They don't want anyone else coming into their country. So they're going to close the door. They're no longer going to offer immigrant investor bonds. And effective March 31st, 2017, if your application is not in the queue, then the opportunity will be gone forever. They call it a moratorium, but none of the programs that have gone into moratorium that I'm aware of ever come back. So if you're a Westerner, is there anything you need to do in this regard? And the answer is probably not. I like the idea of having European residency, for folks who are from the United States, Australia, soon to be the UK, etc., who want to spend more time than they're allowed on a tourist visa in Europe. For most of us who bounce around, not a big issue. 6 months a year in Europe and the Schengen area is fine. The other reason is for folks who are looking at Plan B passports that are very mediocre passports and that they may renounce their citizenship. And the Plan B passport that they have doesn't allow them to go to Europe. And so they can pair that very mediocre passport with no Europe access with a European residency. And so there have been some folks that I've run into in the last year or two whom I've suggested to set up a second passport as well as European residency to protect themselves as their Plan B. For the average Westerner, and obviously for anyone in the EU, it doesn't matter at all, but for the average non-EU Westerner, not a huge deal. It does show that some of these countries in Europe that are increasingly nationalistic are going to close down their options. Whether that makes the other options in Europe more expensive, I don't think it does so immediately. You still have Latvia. You still have a dwindling number of options in Ireland that practically nobody does, sadly. You still have other countries in Europe that offer you to come in as an entrepreneur. You have Portugal, you have Spain, etc. So are those programs going to be more expensive? No. Did I ever suggest that anyone rely on some government to pay back their bonds as a way to get a residency? No. I think you'd much rather own real estate or put the money in the bank. So not a huge loss. Again, I think Budapest is a lovely city to go and visit. Studied the residency program for 5 minutes, both through the bond program and through the entrepreneur program. Neither really stood out to me. Not a huge loss, I don't think. So one that not much you need to do much with, but you should be aware of because doors are closing. And we just did another video recently about canceled residency programs. A lot of these residency programs are going by the wayside. Others will crop up, but if you're interested in a particular program, it's best to get on the ball and do it now because many of these countries, over the course of a 3 to 5 year timeline, either dramatically increase the eligibility requirements or just change their mind and cancel the programs entirely. So if Hungary is one that you want, you've got until March 31st, 2017. Get your application in, or as they say, you'll be square.